The silence of Meridian Springs, the last morning, the twin moons of Meridian Springs cast silver light across the mining settlement. James Carter stood at the edge of the excavation site, watching the sun rise over the distant mountains. He had been on this world for 5 years now, and every sunrise still took his breath away. The red-orange glow painted the sky in colors Earth never showed. Behind him, the settlement was waking up. Lights flickered on in prefabricated homes. The smell of coffee drifted from the central cafeteria. Somewhere a child laughed, running between buildings while their parent called after them to slow down. This place was home to 8,000 people. Miners, engineers, teachers, doctors, families. They had come here seeking opportunity, adventure, a chance to build something new far from Earth's crowded cities. James checked his mining scanner. The deposits they had found last week were even richer than initial surveys suggested. Rare metals, platinum group elements, compounds useful for advanced manufacturing. Meridian Springs would be wealthy soon. The colony could expand, build better schools, establish proper medical facilities. His daughter Emma could go to a real university without leaving home. His communicator buzzed. His wife Sarah's voice came through, warm and familiar. "Breakfast is ready. Emma wants to show you her science project before school." James smiled. "On my way." He walked back toward the settlement, boots crunching on the mineral-rich soil. Around him, other early risers headed to their posts. Maria Gonzalez waved from the water reclamation plant. Old Tom Henderson was already tinkering with a malfunctioning atmospheric processor, stubborn as always about doing repairs himself. The morning shift at the main mine entrance gathered with their equipment, joking and complaining about the early hour. Normal, peaceful, safe. The ships that brought darkness Sarah had made pancakes, Emma's favorite. Their daughter sat at the small kitchen table, her science project spread out before her. She had built a model of the local solar system, complete with orbital paths marked in glowing thread. "See, Dad? The third planet has the wobble because of the gas giant's gravity. Mrs. Peterson said my calculations were perfect." James hugged her. "That's my girl. Going to be an astrophysicist someday." Emma grinned. "Or a starship pilot. I haven't decided yet." The morning continued in comfortable routine. James kissed Sarah goodbye, walked Emma to the school building, and headed to the administrative center for the daily briefing. As mining supervisor, he needed to coordinate with the geological survey team about new drilling sites. He was reviewing holographic charts when the alarms began. Not the familiar beep of equipment malfunction or weather warning. This was different. A harsh, urgent wail that James had only heard in drills. The colony-wide emergency signal. His communicator erupted with voices, panicked and overlapping. Unknown vessels entering orbit, multiple contacts, massive energy signatures. They're not responding to hails. Get to the shelters. Everyone to the shelters now. James ran outside. The sky was dark with ships. Enormous vessels, angular and brutal in design, blocking out the sun. He had never seen anything like them. Humanity had encountered a dozen alien species in the 70 years since faster-than-light travel. Most were peaceful. Some were cautious. None were hostile. These ships radiated menace. The first energy beam struck the power generation plant. The explosion threw James to the ground. His ears rang. Through blurred vision, he saw the plant transform into a crater of molten metal and burning debris. People were screaming, running in all directions. Parents grabbed children. The elderly stumbled, trying to reach safety. But there was no safety. The alien ships fired again and again, methodically targeting buildings, infrastructure, people. James got up and ran toward the school. Emma was there. Sarah worked at the medical center next door. He had to reach them. Had to get them to the emergency bunkers. The medical center exploded before he was halfway there. The blast wave lifted him off his feet and slammed him into a wall. Pain shot through his ribs. He tasted blood. But he kept moving, crawling first, then running again. The school building still stood. James burst through the door. Children huddled under desks, teachers trying to keep them calm. He found Emma's classroom. She ran to him, crying. Mrs. Peterson's face was pale but determined. The bunkers? She asked. Try for them. I'll help get everyone there. They moved as a group, children holding hands in a chain. Outside, the world was ending. Buildings burned. Bodies lay in the streets. People James had known, had shared meals with, had called friends. The alien ships continued their work with mechanical precision, turning the settlement into rubble and ash. They never made it to the bunkers. An energy beam struck the ground ahead of them. The heat was overwhelming. James threw himself over Emma, shielding her with his body. He felt the fire wash over him, felt his skin burning then nothing. The Discovery Captain Elena Rodriguez commanded the independent freighter, Morning Star. She had been in space for 20 years, hauling cargo between colonies, asking no questions, causing no trouble. Her route took her near Meridian Springs every few months. She would stop for supplies, trade gossip, maybe share a drink with James Carter, who always had funny stories about mining mishaps. When she entered the system, her sensors showed wrong readings. Too much debris in orbit. Strange energy signatures. The settlement's beacon was silent. That's not right, her co-pilot Marcus said. They always respond to hails. Elena tried every frequency. Nothing. Just static and an eerie silence where a thriving colony should be. Take us in closer. As they approached the planet, the truth revealed itself. The settlement was gone. Not damaged. Not evacuated. Gone. Reduced to scorched craters and scattered debris. 8,000 people had lived there yesterday. Now there was nothing but destruction. Helena's hands shook as she activated the ship's recording systems. She documented everything, capturing images of the devastation from orbit and from low-altitude passes. The evidence was clear. This was not an accident, not a natural disaster. This was deliberate, systematic extermination. Who would do this? Marcus whispered. Elena had no answer. She only knew that someone needed to see this. Earth needed to know. She plotted a course for the nearest communications relay, pushed her engines to maximum, and began transmitting everything. The images, the sensor data, the terrible evidence of what had happened to Meridian Springs. Earth's response. The transmission reached Earth Defense Command. 43 hours later, Admiral Thomas Blackwood was in a budget meeting when his aide interrupted, face ashen, and handed him a data pad. Blackwood watched the footage once, then again, then a third time, because he could not believe what he was seeing. 8,000 civilians, families, children, murdered without warning, without provocation, without mercy. He stood slowly, his 60 years settling heavily on his shoulders. He had fought in the border wars, had seen combat, had lost friends. But this was different. This was not war. This was annihilation. Get me the Joint Chiefs. Get me the President. Get me every fleet commander we have. His voice was quiet, but it carried absolute authority. We're going to find out who did this. And then we're going to make them wish they never learned humanity existed. Within 6 hours, every human world received the same transmission. The footage from Meridian Springs played on every screen, every channel. The galaxy would later mark this as the moment humanity changed. They were wrong. Humanity did not change. They simply stopped pretending to be something they were not. Across 200 human colonies, reserve forces activated. shipyards that built civilian vessels retooled for war production. The factories that made farming equipment began producing weapons. Veterans who had not worn uniforms in decades reported for duty. Meridian Springs had been home to 8,000 people. They had been miners, teachers, engineers, families. They had harmed no one. They had only wanted to build lives in peace. Someone had taken that from them. Humanity would respond. Not with words. Not with negotiations, not with fire and fury, beyond anything the galaxy had ever witnessed. The mobilization had begun, and nothing would stop it until justice was served. Asterisk. Thunder across the stars. The gathering storm Admiral Thomas Blackwood stood on the observation deck of the flagship Indomitable, watching the largest military fleet in human history assemble. Ships arrived from every corner of human space. Dreadnoughts from Mars, destroyers from the Jupiter shipyards, carriers from the outer colonies, cruisers that had been decommissioned and were now brought back to deadly life. The fleet grew by the hour. What started as 200 ships became 400, then 600. Military vessels refitted civilian ships equipped with weapons, even old exploration craft modified for combat support. Humanity was pouring everything into this response. Commander Patricia Lynn approached, her datapad glowing with endless streams of information. Final count, Admiral. 743 combat vessels. 300 support ships. Total personnel, 400,000. We've never assembled anything close to this. Blackwood nodded slowly. The Korthax Dominion wanted to test humanity's resolve. They chose to do it by murdering 8,000 innocent people. Now they'll learn what human resolve actually means. Intelligence had identified the attackers within 72 hours. The Korthax Dominion, a militant empire that controlled 15 star systems. They were known for their aggression, their brutal military culture, their belief that strength was the only virtue worth possessing. They had destroyed 6 other civilizations over the past 2 centuries, enslaved populations, and carved out their territory through terror. Meridian Springs had been in disputed space. The Korthax claimed it. Humanity had settled it legally, with proper colonial registration. The Korthax response had been immediate and merciless. What's our intelligence on their military capacity? Blackwood asked. Lynn pulled up holographic displays. 300 capital ships, approximately. 800 smaller vessels. Strong defensive fortifications around their core worlds. They've been the dominant military power in this sector for decades. Have been, Blackwood repeated. Past tense. Because that ends today. He turned to face his command staff. 20 officers, the best humanity had. Some had fought in the border wars. Others were brilliant strategists who had never seen combat. All of them wore the same expression, cold determination. Our objective is simple, Blackwood said. We dismantle the Korthax Dominion's ability to wage war. We do it systematically. We do it completely. And we make sure every species in this galaxy understands that attacking human civilians has consequences beyond their imagination. He activated the fleet-wide communication channel. 743 ships, hundreds of thousands of personnel, all listening. People of Earth and the colonies. We stand here because 8,000 of our brothers and sisters were murdered. They were not soldiers. They were not warriors. They were farmers and teachers, engineers and children. They represented the best of what humanity can be, peaceful, productive, hopeful. The Korthax Dominion took them from us. Now we take everything from the Korthax. His voice grew harder. We will not engage in atrocities. We will not target civilians. We are not them. But we will destroy their military capacity so completely that they will never threaten another soul. We will break their fleets, shatter their bases, and leave them defenseless. This is not revenge. This is justice. This is protection. This is humanity showing the galaxy who we really are when pushed beyond endurance. The fleet acknowledged. Thousands of voices in unison. Fleet command acknowledges. Navigation confirms coordinates. All ships report ready for faster-than-light jump. Blackwood took a breath. Once they jumped, there would be no going back. Humanity would be at war with a major galactic power. The political consequences would ripple for generations. But those 8,000 lives demanded response. Demanded justice. All ships. Initiate jump sequence. Destination. Korthax Frontier Zone. Let's show them what thunder sounds like when Earth roars. Space twisted. Reality folded. 743 human warships vanished in flashes of displaced energy, crossing dozens of light years in an instant. The galaxy's balance of power was about to shift forever. First, contact with Fire Thee. Korthak's military outpost at Vareth Station detected the human fleet 3 seconds before the missiles arrived. Commander Thark had just enough time to see his sensor display fill with contacts before the first wave struck. Thousands of missiles, more than the station's defensive systems could possibly intercept. They came in patterns, overwhelming the automated defenses through sheer numbers and coordinated timing. Thark watched in disbelief as his proud military installation, a fortress that had stood for 30 years, was systematically torn apart. The station shook. Hull breaches erupted across multiple sections. Power conduits exploded. The command center's displays went dark one by one. Return fire. Thark ordered. All batteries full spread. His weapons officer tried. The station's massive plasma cannons swiveled toward the approaching human fleet. They managed 3 shots before the targeting systems failed, destroyed by precision strikes. Through the viewport, Thark saw the human ships. They moved with coordination he had never witnessed. Not individual vessels making separate decisions, but a unified force executing a single plan with perfect timing. Their formation was beautiful and terrifying, like watching a predator that knew exactly how to kill. "Abandoned station," Thark said quietly. "All personnel to escape pods. Now." His officers hesitated. Abandoning their post was disgrace in Korthak's culture. Warriors died defending their positions. "No!" Thark roared. "Dying here accomplishes nothing. Living means we can warn the Dominion what's coming." They evacuated. 2,000 Korthak's military personnel fled their dying station. Not a single escape pod was fired upon. The human ships simply watched them go, then finished destroying the installation with methodical efficiency. Thark's pod tumbled through space, automated distress beacon active. He watched through the small viewport as Vareth Station became an expanding cloud of debris. The human fleet reformed, checked their systems, then jumped away toward the next target. They had destroyed a major military installation in less than 12 minutes. The Dominion. Respond, Supreme Commander. Vokoth received reports of the attacks in his war room on the Korthax homeworld. 6 Frontier installations destroyed in the first wave. 12 more hit in the second wave. 20 military outposts gone in less than a day. The humans had not stopped to occupy territory, had not paused to consolidate gains. They simply destroyed each target and moved immediately to the next, like a wildfire consuming everything in its path. "Impossible," Vokoth said. "The humans are merchants and explorers. They have no significant military tradition." His intelligence officer, a veteran named Kreth, disagreed. "Supreme Commander, with respect, our intelligence was wrong. These ships demonstrate tactical sophistication equal to our own. Their weapons technology is comparable, possibly superior in missile systems. And their numbers ... Kreth hesitated. "They've committed more ships to this attack than we knew they possessed." Vokoth studied the tactical displays. The human fleet was driving toward the Dominion's core systems, destroying every military installation in their path. Not occupying, not capturing, just demolishing and moving forward. They want our military destroyed, Voketh realized. They're not trying to conquer us. They're trying to make us defenseless. What are your orders, Supreme Commander? Voketh considered. The Dominion's main fleet consisted of 300 capital ships, the pride of Korthak's military power. They could meet this human force, engage in a proper battle, destroy these upstarts who dared challenge Korthak's dominance. Asterisk mobilized the fleet. Full strength. We meet them at the Thorian Nebula. There we will crush them completely and remind the galaxy why the Dominion is feared. Orders went out. Across 6 star systems, Korthak's warships powered up their drives and began moving toward the designated battle space. 300 capital ships, 800 support vessels. The full might of an empire that had conquered and terrorized for 2 centuries. They would teach the humans the price of challenging the Dominion. The Battle of Thorian Nebula. Thorian Nebula was a vast cloud of gas and dust, beautiful and deadly. Sensors had reduced effectiveness. Communications were difficult. It was perfect terrain for an ambush, which was exactly what Voketh intended. His fleet waited in concealment, engines on minimal power, weapons hot and ready. The humans were coming. Intelligence reported their fleet moving directly toward this position. When they entered the nebula, Korthak's ships would attack from all sides, overwhelming them before they could coordinate a response. Voketh waited, watched his displays. Any moment now, the human fleet would appear on sensors. Instead, warnings blared. Multiple contacts. Behind us, above us. They're everywhere. The humans had not stumbled into the trap. They had surrounded it. Their fleet emerged from faster than light at multiple points simultaneously, appearing in perfect positions around the Korthak's formation. Before Voketh could react, the first missile waves were already in flight. The battle became chaos. Korthak's ships tried to orient, to respond to threats from multiple directions. Their carefully prepared ambush position became a liability. Their ships clustered too closely together, making them easier targets. Human warships demonstrated devastating firepower. Their missiles came in overwhelming swarms. Their energy weapons struck with pinpoint accuracy. But more impressive was their coordination. Every human ship knew exactly where every other human ship was positioned. They never fired on each other, never blocked each other's firing solutions, never wasted shots on already destroyed targets. Voketh watched his fleet die. Korthak's dreadnoughts, massive ships that had terrorized dozens of worlds, exploded under concentrated human fire. Cruisers were torn apart. Destroyers tried to flee and were hunted down. His own flagship shook under impacts. Shields collapsed. Hull breaches erupted. The command deck filled with smoke and screaming. All ships. Full retreat. Scatter and retreat. But the humans had blocked the escape routes. Their positioning was perfect, their timing flawless. Every time a Korthak ship tried to jump away, human vessels were already there, weapons ready. Voketh's flagship took a direct hit to the main reactor. Power failed. Life support began dying. Through the viewport, he saw his empire's fleet scattered and burning, saw human ships moving through the wreckage like sharks through bloody water. The battle lasted 4 hours. When it ended, the Korthak's Dominion's military had ceased to exist as a functional force. The price of mercy, Admiral. Blackwood surveyed the aftermath. 70 human ships damaged, 12 destroyed. 4,000 casualties, including 800 dead. The price was heavy, but the Korthaks had lost everything. 280 capital ships destroyed. 700 support vessels gone. Their remaining ships were scattered, damaged, Leaderless? Admiral, Commander Lin reported. We're detecting thousands of Korthak's escape pods. Life signs confirmed. Blackwood nodded. Recover them. All of them. Provide medical assistance. We're not murderers. Sir, some of the crew are questioning why we're saving them. After what they did to Meridian Springs. Because we're human, Blackwood said quietly. We remember our dead by being better than those who killed them. Save the Korthak survivors. Show them what mercy looks like. Maybe they'll remember it next time they consider attacking peaceful colonists. The human fleet spread out, collecting escape pods, providing emergency aid. Korthak's warriors, who had expected death, found themselves rescued by the same enemy that had just destroyed their fleet dot in the wreckage. Supreme Commander Voketh floated in his command pod, watching human ships pass by. One stopped, and a recovery arm extended toward him. Through the viewport, he could see human faces, young faces, many of them. They were not celebrating their victory. They looked tired, sad, determined. They had come here for justice, not glory. They had sought to destroy military capacity, not commit genocide. They had fought with overwhelming force, then shown mercy to the defeated. Vokoth understood, perhaps for the first time, what the Dominion had awakened. Humanity had proven themselves capable of terrible violence when necessary, but controlled enough to stop when violence was no longer needed. As his pod was drawn into the human medical ship. Voketh knew the galaxy would never be the same. The Korthak's Dominion had tested humanity. They had pushed to see what humans were made of. Now they knew. Now everyone would know. Epilogue. The memorial 6 months later. On the ruins of Meridian Springs, humanity built a memorial. 8,000 names carved into black stone, one for every life lost. Survivors from across human space came to pay respects, to remember, to ensure that these deaths would never be forgotten. Admiral Blackwood stood before the memorial as the last name was carved. James Carter, Sarah Carter, Emma Carter, teachers and miners, engineers and children, people who had wanted nothing more than peaceful lives. They will be remembered, Blackwood said softly, not just for how they died, but for what their deaths prevented. Because of them, because of our response, the galaxy understands now. Humanity seeks peace, but we will not accept being victims. We will not tolerate atrocities against our people. And we will respond to aggression with such overwhelming force that no species will ever mistake our desire for peace as weakness. The memorial was complete. The names would stand forever, a reminder of the cost of peace and the price humanity would pay to protect it. In orbit above, the human fleet maintained its vigil. 700 ships, watching, ready, ensuring that Meridian Springs would be the last time anyone tried to test humanity's resolve through violence against innocence. The galaxy had learned. Humanity preferred peace. But when war became necessary, they waged it with such precision, such power, and such purpose that resistance became futile. They had lost one colony. The response had shaken empires. And the galaxy would remember. The end asterisk